Hey everyone, I want to go over the steps in the research process for you because as you know, we're beginning a research paper and it's really important to know exactly what steps you need to take in order to get started writing your paper. So, step one, you need to form a research question. So, there's a broad research question that we were assigned, as we discussed in class. It's what are the effects of marketing and labeling? Okay, as we determined, this is too broad. You can't really focus this entire topic in 4 to 5 pages. You could write a whole book on this topic, so we're going to have to narrow it down. But before we do that, we need to think about the different essays and books we've read that can inform this question here. So if we remember, we read Don't Blame the Eater. He talks a little bit about marketing. Omnivore's Dilemma, Michael Pollan talks a great deal about marketing and labeling. The Organic Fable, our friend Roger Cohen talks a lot about the effects of organic labels. And then you have just read this week about food marketing and labeling. So this will give you plenty of information. So thinking about the topic and everything you've read so far, then I want you to narrow down your research question. So you need to formulate a more focused question that is doable in 4 to 5 pages. Some of the topics we came up with in class were marketing and the influences on children, for example. We came up with organic labels and how they are deceiving to consumers. Okay. Some other topics we came up with were fast food labels and how they are also deceiving. We came up with obesity as an effect of marketing. Okay. So these are some examples of narrowed down questions, right? Or narrowed down topics. You could write 4 to 5 pages on each of these different topics. So your homework this week is to choose, because there are many, many more, choose one of these topics or a topic of your choice, and that's what you need to write yourself, okay? All right, let's go on to step 3. So once you have your focused research question, you need to determine the topic, the organizational focus, the audience, and the purpose of your research paper. So here you're going to write the topic, write some potential subtopics. You're going to determine the main organization of this paper. We discussed this. Is it going to be compare contrast, cause effect, problem solution, process, or illustration, argument? It's important that you identify the purpose and the audience, okay? You don't want to write a paper without thinking about why you're writing it and who it will be important to or for. Okay, so you'll also need to put down what kind of information will you need to research. You can make some notes on that here on this document. And also, this is your homework on the forum. So go to the forum and you'll see that I have a very specific example of what I expect for this specific step. All right, I want to talk to you a little bit about gathering evidence and subtopics. So once you have your topic, you've narrowed it down, and you've decided how you're going to organize the paper, the audience, and the purpose, you have to read, and gather evidence and make notes of your evidence. So I've created a Google Doc template for you where you can list your subtopics and make notes and list your sources. This will be very helpful when you start to write your research paper and you want to get organized. Let me quickly go over what good subtopics and bad subtopics are. A good subtopic is something that you can write about in more depth or detail. So here are some good subtopics that come from your last paper. Government is a cause for corn's low prices. Agribusiness is supported by government. Effects of processed corn on health. Effects of corn production on the environment. Okay, as you can see, these subtopics, you can provide a lot of facts, examples, expert opinions, and your own opinion on each of these different subtopics. Let's look at the bad subtopics. So, type 2 diabetes accounts for 30% of new cases of diabetes in children. Why isn't this a good subtopic? It's because it's a fact. You can't add any more information about this. You can't really go into depth anymore about this. Same with this one. The soil is contaminated by excessive use of fertilizers. Okay, that's a fact. I can't prove that. I can't add more information and develop that idea more. So your subtopics need to be broad. Remember, level 1 ideas, not level 3, which are very specific, and those encompass examples or facts. Is that clear? Okay. So let's take a look at the note-taking document. Here's the note-taking document. As instructed, you're going to make a copy of this. It's on our Moodle. And then you're going to rename it with your last name and then research notes. And it's going to be personalized, so you can do whatever you'd like. This is just a template. You can fool around with it, make it look how you'd like it to look. And let me show you what that looks like. So here's a copy. Research paper notes and outline, and I have formatted so that it's more personal. Here's my thesis statement. Agribusiness and government work together to mass produce corn. As a result of overproduction of corn, there are negative consequences for the environment and for people's health. Alright, so I've got my subtopics listed. 1, subtopic 2, okay, subtopic 3. And then I told you to keep a working bibliography. So a bibliography is all of the information about your sources. And you're going to have to write a works cited at the end of your research paper, so you need to gather all of this information as you make your notes and outline. So source 1, I have all of the information about David Zinczenko. I have the name of the article. I have the source, New York Times. What type of publication? It's a web page. So if it's online, I have the URL. The publisher, there was none because it's not a book. Page, I didn't have any pages. You can put the paragraph numbers, but not necessary. The date of the publication and the date that I accessed the source. Okay? So you guys are going to go ahead and do that for all of your other sources and put those in different colors. Michael Pollan can be in blue. The John Hopkins article can be in green, and then you're going to add a different source we find at the library that can be in a different color. So now that I have my sources in different colors, you'll see that I've added facts, examples, Einstein, evidence, quotes to each subtopic. Okay, this is going to be the evidence for my paper. For example, corn is everywhere. In blue, I have a quote from Pollan. More than 80 million acres of farmland are planted with corn every year. Okay, I continue. As I read through pollen, I'm going to write down notes in blue that support my different points and subpoints. Okay, the government support for agribusiness and vice versa, that's going to be a subtopic. Further break that down into government supports agribusiness, agribusiness is involved in government, and as you see, I'm pulling some notes from paraphrases. This is a paraphrase from pollen that shows that the government gives subsidies to agribusiness every year. And then I've got another quote from pollen that shows how agribusiness is involved in writing the laws in the government. Okay? And, oh look, you've got some red here. What does red mean? Means coming from source 1, Zinc Zinco. Okay? So again here, obesity in children. That's one of my subtopics of this subtopic. American kids are vulnerable to type 2 diabetes. And here's a fact, type 2 diabetes accounts for 30% of new cases. That's a fact that is proving obesity is a health consequence of corn in everything. So I want you guys to write your notes in this fashion. Okay, let's go back to the steps. So you're writing your notes, you're reading, you're adding your information to your working bibliography, you've got all of your notes in different colors that match the color of the working bibliography and the sources. Okay, once you have your notes, I'd like for you to go back and outline. So your notes don't have to be organized. That's what your outline's for. So how are you going to organize your outline? You'll probably have lots of subtopics with lots of notes, so you can choose the best subtopics and the best evidence that will support your point. So you can highlight this evidence or underline this evidence. You might want to move around the subtopics so that it's in a logical order, right? Maybe you'll want it to be cause, effect, that's logical. Or maybe you'll want it to be cause, effect, something like that. And then what will really help you is going to the evidence you have and writing next to it. Where will you use it? Will it be in the intro, the body, the conclusion? And what type of evidence is it? Okay? Is it Einstein evidence, fact evidence, example evidence, or undocumented personal experience evidence? Adding the type and the purpose of the evidence will really allow you to see how your evidence connects to your overall thesis and how it will inform your paper overall. So this just helps you to double check that the evidence you have really matches your thesis and that the purpose is clear. What is your evidence doing? Is it lending authority? Is it supporting a point, giving background and context, explaining something, or is it a counter-argument? So this is also types of evidence and purpose. I've got a page on that this week for you guys to look at and study, and it will be a part of the quiz for this week. So your outline should thus be organized into a smooth flow with all of your subtopics and your evidence. And then, once you've got it all organized, you're ready to write your research paper, and it will flow. It will hopefully be a quick process because doing the outline and the research itself is what takes the longest. And then you'll have your works cited at the end and you'll be good to go. So that's it for your steps in the research process. Good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.